Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. It's Candice Lee from Candice Lee Fired Up, Independent Epicure Consultant and Meal Prep Whiz, and this morning is meal prep. So, I'm going to show you a few items that we're going to make, or I'm making today to help us throughout the week. Now, granted, a couple of days we're off celebrating our 7-year anniversary, so we don't need food for every day. So I'm basically going to kind of prep up for about 3 to 4 days and go from there. But there'll be extras for other days. So I already started one thing because I've made this one many times online, and you guys probably don't need to see it, but I posted a little bit earlier. It's the superhero cookies. I made them. They're in the oven. I'll put the video together and show you guys later if you want to see that. But basically it is oats, protein powder, some seed or nut butter, dried fruit. You can put in some nuts or seeds or anything you like, banana, coconut, things like that, and then you mush it all together and make them into either cookies or balls and put them into the oven in about 15 minutes. You'll have them out, so you'll be able to see them as we continue making other things. So they're going. Now all I've done is prepped a few things on the counter so that I can grab everything easily. Otherwise, normally I probably would have just do one at a time, prep getting the stuff out, but you guys don't want to see all that, so it's all out here. So just a quick view, some vegetables and pans, and sorry, it's not moving, and all the items and things I need. So what we're going to actually do first is get started with dressing that I'm going to use for the chickpeas, or even some Brussels sprouts later on in the week. So it's our ultimate Asian sauce. Again, you can get this online if you'd like. It's basically a few of our ingredients all put together. So let's start. It's 3 tablespoons of the red pepper jelly. I'm just going to use our cruet and funnel and get this going. And so I love our 3-in-1 spoon. Gets in there. And there's not much left. All right, and then it wants 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. So I use low soy tamarind, no gluten-free one. You can use whatever one you like. Okay. Then it wants, it does say vegetable oil, but I am not going to use that. I tend to stay away from oil if I can. It does want 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. Now what I'm going to use instead is, it does want sesame seed oil. I will use a little bit of that because it doesn't, that's all right with me. Then it does want, as I said, sesame seed oil, so I will put in a tablespoon of this. Okay. And then it wants our Asian stir-fry seasoning. Oops, our Asian stir-fry seasonings. It wants a tablespoon of this. I'm just going to sprinkle it in because, all right. And then it wants crushed chilies and that. And so we actually have a chili flake and garlic. I'm going to actually use that one. And I'm just going to sprinkle that in as well. So, there we go. Sorry. Ultimate Asian sauce. Excuse me. Got some dust in my throat. Alright. So then that's basically going to go on my chickpeas that I'm going to roast up for my Nourish bowls that I'm going to be having throughout the week. So just so I don't get it sticking everywhere, because there is a little bit of sugar obviously in the red pepper jelly. I don't want it sticking on it, so I'm going to put a tiny bit of oil. Then I had a can of chickpeas that I drained and rinsed, or rinse and drain, however you want to call it. And it's going to go there. And then I've got my dressing. I don't need all of it. Just use the basting brush. Mix everybody up. You could have done this in a bowl, I guess, but I'm just trying to eliminate cleaning up if I don't have to clean up too much. All right, and I'll probably just give it a shake while it's in the oven as well. So there we go. That's ready to go into the oven, along with our delicious superhero cookies. Okay, there you are. One dressing and chickpeas ready to go for the next part, which would be making the actual salad. So before I get chopping, I'm actually going to make the minestrone soup so that we can have that for lunch and, hi Lindsay, for lunch and dinner today and tomorrow, or just depending on how our day goes today. But basically I'm going to have this set up. So super easy. It's a half a cup of dried pasta shells with 3 cups of hot water or broth, whatever you want, in the saucepan, high heat, and then you stir in the seasonings and we go from there. So I've got the hot water in there, or the water, sorry. I'm going to grab half a cup of dried noodles. All right. And then I'm actually going to use not a can of lentils that it says, but actually dried lentils. So I'm going to just grab some lentils and put those in. The cookie making, yeah, it's just a little bit. I actually broke up the video a little bit, but I've made them many times, so I'm just going to combine it. But basically, there are superhero cookies. They're super easy and awesome to make. I usually do them every couple of weeks because I can throw a whole bunch in the freezer and then pull them out as I need, and Victor eats them as well. And the recipe's online, but I'll post all that later today for you guys to grab that. Okay, so what it wants is 1 can. So basically it's saying almost 2 cups of lentils. Okay. And it wants the seasoning in there as well. And that's just to get it started. Now if you wanted it, you could make it a broth. So I could have added our chicken broth or a veggie broth. If you wanted to make it a broth instead of making it just regular water with the seasoning. So it's whatever you like, or if you have broth that you make yourself, by all means use that. All right. So let me see what I've done here. Admittedly, this is the first time I've made this one. So one is the pasta, we did that, the hot water. I put in a little bit of broth seasoning, I put the seasoning in. Oh, and then it wants the tomatoes in there. So, all right. Oh, there we go. Okay, then I wanted some tomato. You could use a can of tomatoes or whatever you like. And then that's it for now. So this is supposed to come to a boil and then just simmer for 10 minutes. And then you can add in your actual frozen vegetables in there. And I have peas, I'll put that in there when it's done. All right. Okay. So that is our superhero cookies done, or in the oven at least going. We've got the chickpeas that I'm roasting in there with our ultimate Asian sauce that we just made up as well. We're gonna put all that, and this is good for the rest of the week as well, so I can use it to put on salads or roasted vegetables or anything that you'd like. I'm gonna actually get some Brussels sprouts and put this on Brussels sprouts, so that's the plan for today, is get some Brussels sprouts so we can do that this week. The minestrone soup is going, and that's like serves 4, so for us that's 2 meals. So for lunch today and tonight, or lunch today and dinner tomorrow night, that kind of idea. So that's perfect. Okay, so the next piece was actually going to start making my lunches for the day. Next couple of days when I go to work. So I've just got a couple of containers, and I've got some vegetables, and I'm just going to chop them all up and put them in my containers, and then all I'll have to do is add the chickpeas when they're cool, and avocado, or you can make hummus or guacamole or anything else, or salsa, and put that aside. But however it is you want to make up your own Nourish bowl or Buddha bowl, whatever you call it. You can make grains if you'd like. I'm Not going to do grains this week, but you could make grains up right now as well and be ready to go. So I've just got some simple root vegetables, celery, cucumber, tomatoes, parsnip, carrots, that kind of thing that are going to go in to my containers. But it's whatever vegetables you like or you've got on hand, or hey, maybe they're on their way out the door or something, you got to use them up. Chop them all up. And away we go. And then some carrots. So it's whatever size you like, or if you have a food processor or a mandolin, use those. You can chop up your vegetables too if you're not particularly fond of chopping. I don't mind, so we're good. So if you have any questions or anything you want me to talk about, feel free to post and I will do my best to get there, or I'll come back and answer them all. Good morning. How is everyone? How are you doing today? Did you guys enjoy the snow yesterday? Were you out and about? Or did you stay home and cozy and warm? Yeah. Parsnips, yeah, I don't mind them raw. They're kind of like having like a sweeter turnip or kind of idea, so they're not bad. Yeah. It would need a lot of it, but at least a little bit of it, yes. Okay. Okay, super cookies need a little longer. I made quite a bit. All right, so this is simmering. It just still needs to come to a boil, and it's still doing that. And then, yeah, then we'll have that. Okay. I'm much more of a raw person of vegetables than I am like cooked. So yeah, I'll eat as much as I can raw. Even though in essence there are certain things I'm not supposed to eat raw, like broccoli and things, just because it's not the best for inflammation. Like if you get a lot of back aches, it could be that you're eating too much raw, the dark greens. But so I've just stayed away from it that reason, because it actually did cause me some back pains and some inflammation that way. And another thing, if you stock up on your salads like this with a lot of watery vegetables, you're getting a lot of your vegetables that way, or your water that way, your water intake that way. Since I didn't use actually a can of tomatoes for the minestrone, I'm just going to put in like a half a tomato here to give it still a little bit of the texture of having it that way. And the other half I will put into my salads that I'm making, or my Nourish bowls that I'm making for the week. I'm not particularly fond of tomatoes, and that's because in essence my body doesn't like red things because of the migraines and that, so I do try to stay away from not having too many. Okay, so it's coming to a boil. It's just now I gotta simmer for 10 minutes, and then that's done. All right. So, vegetables are chopped up in here, ready to go. What did I say? Oh, Did you get anything from her about maybe the reason why you have the citrus allergy or anything like that when you did the blood work, or is it basically going to tell you other stuff that you maybe need to stay away from? Sorry. So what am I making? So that is a very good question. So I started off with superhero cookies. I did a prep video for that ahead. I will pull all together and show you after, but I've made them many times, so I didn't want to distract you guys from all that. But the recipe's online. It's super easy to make, and they're just cooking away in the oven. Then I'm making roasted chickpeas with our ultimate Asian sauce. And that is using our red pepper jelly and our Asian stir fry with a few wet ingredients like soy sauce, rice vinegar, sesame seed oil, some chili flakes, things like that. And then they're on top of the chickpeas. They're in the oven. In a few minutes I can pull them out and they're good to go. And then for lunch and dinner, probably today and tomorrow, depending on how our day goes, we're making the minestrone soup, which is one of the new products for this winter or this season. And it's all the seasoning or everything is inside here, and you just add in your excuse me, the raw ingredients of the whole food. So literally in there is 3 cups of water with some broth, seasoning broth with the seasoning, with pasta shells. So I use a half a cup. I use some diced tomatoes. So it says 1 can of diced tomatoes, but what I did instead was use leftover sauce, put in a tomato, and away I go. Lentils, I'm not using a can, so I actually put them in a head. I'm using dry, so they're in there right now, small ones. And then when it's almost ready, I'm just gonna put in, what does it say, 1.5 cups of frozen veggies. I only have peas right now, but if you had mixed veggies, you just toss all that in. And then a few minutes later, it's ready to go. And you can serve with pesto or just eat as your own, or add in some protein more. If you didn't want to just use lentils, you could use chicken or something if you wanted. Okay, so that's what's going on. Now I'm just chopping up the vegetables for my Nourish bowls, which is where I'm going to put the chickpeas on, and that'll be my meal and an avocado and that for my meal for lunch for the next couple of days at the office. The rest of the week I'm actually off because I'm celebrating our 7 years together, so we're going to the spa and doing a few things, so I don't need food for that day, so I'm making it a little less. Okay, so that's that, right? Underway. Veggies are good. Minestrone is good. And superhero cookies are almost done. And then the roasted chickpeas will be ready after that. So what I'm gonna do now is actually make a soup mix, a dry soup mix for Vic for the week for him, so that he can have a quick meal. And what I like to do for him is, I have a recipe that I use for one of my workshops. I do this all the time, but he loves it. So I mix it up with split peas and lentils for him. So basically what it is, if you do it in like a 500 jar, it makes about 6 cups. You put 6 cups of water in and you get about 4 or 5 servings of it, depending on how you make it. So 1 cup of green lentils. Make a mess, but we're good. And then if you want to look pretty, at this point in time, you can start putting your seasonings in. So it wants like curry powder, minced onion, garlic, lemon, chili. But he's much more of an onion guy. So I'm actually gonna put, you know what, I'm gonna put the leftover French onion and some 3 onion and some garlic. Okay. Oh, and of course you gotta put in the broth. All right, so a little bit of, so some garlic, and the leftover of the French onion. There's only like a tablespoon of that. And then lemon dilly. You could mix it up. So basically it's supposed to be like curry powder and things like that. It's not his favorite, so I will do it without the curry powder, but put more of the 3 onion in. And then, oh, I wasn't gonna do green. Oops. Or me. I have 2 types of split peas for him. I have the yellow and the green, so to add a little color, I'm gonna do actually the yellow split peas. Okay, so there you go. You can see now it's got some lines. You could do a little bit each if you want to make it pretty for someone. Great little gifts. And then your broth that you like on top. And again, you could add in a little bit more, any of your seasonings that you like. So I'm gonna open up the 3 onion and keep it away from me. There, so that's pretty much an onion, lentil, split pea soup ready for Victor when he wants to make a soup for this week, and he's good to go. So that's that. And you can do this with any mason jars or any containers and mix different colors. There's red, there's orange, there's so many colors of lentils and split peas. So they make pretty little gifts. You can put a ribbon around it. Maybe someone's sick. You can make this for them and as a little gift to get well or that. And it's super easy. They literally just put this on the stove with 6 cups of water, let it simmer, and then they have a delicious soup. Okay, so soup is done. The ultimate Asian sauce is done. The roasted chickpeas are coming along, and the minestrone is pretty much almost done. I'm just going to put the veggies in now. Superhero cookies are done. Those chickpeas just need a couple more minutes. So here you go. There's all of my superhero cookies. I make them in the balls because I like to have them like as a snack or easy to carry for me. And Victor also does it as a snack. So they're all ready to go. I just want to move the chickpeas around a little. All right. Okay. So I'm going to turn this off because pretty much it doesn't need much more time. So there is the minestrone soup. It's got the lentils and the pasta and the peas and the tomatoes and all the seasonings. And it's a great meal for your lunch. If you got a good thermos to take soup to work, that'd be perfect for that because that'd be like your 4 lunches or 4 different people's lunches. If you want, you could even freeze that and have it for later in the week, or even add it as like an extra into something you're already making. So you had leftovers, you don't want to eat it anymore, you're not a leftover person, no problem. Let it cool and then freeze it into like ice cube trays, or even if you have the perfect petites pan or a muffin pan or something, and then you can have like a half a cup frozen of the the minestrone soup that you can add to a stew maybe you have later, or even to a butter chicken or to something like that. And it'll just add a little bit extra flavor. And I'll have some lentils and things like that in it, which is great. So you don't just have to have, if you're like on your own or it's just 2 of you, you can spread it out for a couple of weeks. All right, we're going back to my messages, sorry. It was about, wow. Okay, I gotta know more about what you did there, girl. That's funky. All right, thank you. It's pretty fun. We are gonna get pampered, it's nice. Yes, just add boiling, it's just boiling water. If you're talking about the minestrone soup, it was just boiling water, but that's just what I use there. How does it get cooked when you want to eat it? Which one are you talking about, Andrew? What are you talking about when you get cooked when you want to eat it? Is that the Asian or the minestrone? So for the lentils, I actually use the really small ones, so they only take about 10 minutes and then they're good to go. That's why they say it can, but I stay with the really, really tiny ones and they don't take as long to soften. If they're the big ones, yeah, it takes a lot longer, but I use a really small one, so 10-15 minutes and they're good to go for the lentils. Oh, no, for the jar of soup mix. What was your question again? Oh, yes. Okay, so yeah, so the jar of soup mix, literally it's 6 cups of water. Add to it, put this in, let it boil up. In about 15 minutes, you'll have your soup ready to go. And that's it. So this can store for a long time. And then you can just pull it out, dump it into a pot, 6 cups of water, let it boil down. As I said, 15 minutes, depending on your lentils and your way you go. So definitely do the small lentils and the small split peas. Then it won't take as long. And if you want, I will also put up the recipe that I have to go along with this. And you can make it many different flavors. You could add a fajita seasoning or Italian seasoning, whatever it is that you like. It's very versatile that way, so it's awesome. Okay, so I used up my broth. I got the veggies going. They're good. I'm not gonna do anything more with these until the chickpeas are done, so that's that. So lunch is pretty much done once the chickpeas come out. The soup is done. We have that soup done. Superhero cookies are done. Okay, so the last thing is the noisy part. So bear with me on this one. So I'm actually gonna make our Bliss Balls to show you how easy they are. So literally, let me get one more cutting board and show you this. So for the Bliss Balls, it's literally 2 cups of your protein powder that you like. It's 12 of the large dates. Obviously, you remove the seeds, the pits, sorry, get those out. And you can chop them up a little bit. I find you don't really need to chop them up. The food processor takes care of that, but there you go. All right. There it is. What number was that? 6? Okay. Just pull the pits out. So these Bliss Balls you could use for breakfast as well, or as a snack. And you can make them with so many different flavorings around it. So basically, I'm going to be using okay, so that's making sure there's no little pieces that we don't want to be eating. All right, I just wash my hands. And while we're at it, we'll just stop and check on the chickpeas. On that, I don't need the oven anymore, so shutting it off. And there we go. Roasted chickpeas in our ultimate Asian sauce. So once it cools, I can portion it out and put it into my Nourish bowls. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be using the food processor, which is why I said it's going to be noisy. Move a few things out of there. So we have the 12 dates. Can you see me over there? No, you can't. Aha. Okay. Going over to food processor. So there is dates. And it wants 2 cups of the powder. I'm going to use our new chocolate one. You can use vanilla. You can use whatever one that you like. And then it wants the seed butter or the nut butter. I made homemade seed butter. It's just sunflower seeds. Blend it up for like 10 minutes in the food processor. Literally, you blend it, move it around, blend it, move around, and then that's what happens. There's nothing else in there but the sunflower seeds. I'm missing. Oh, there it is. So it wants a 1/2 cup of the seed butter. And it will want of what we call it, liquid. So you can use whatever you like. If you want water, I did water the other day and it worked great. Or you could use almond milk or whatever it is that you like. So yeah, so it's 12 or 1 cup of the dates. It's a half a cup of nut butter or seed butter. Oh, half a cup or quarter cup of hemp hearts. So I'm not using hemp hearts, I'm gonna actually use oats. And so I only use about a quarter of a cup. And then 2 cups of the protein powder, and then 4 tablespoons of a liquid that you like. And then when it comes out, we're actually going to roll them up in the balls and mix them up into either your cocoa or greens powder or tutti frutti. All right, so I'm actually going to use, almond. Okay, disclaimer, if you have earbuds in, take them out. What's going on? You know it's good to go. And this is when I fight with my food processor. So basically they're big dough. Last little bits out of there. And away we go. Now here is where you could use, I'm just gonna use my hands anyway. We call them ice cream scoop. If you wanted to do that, I'm usually okay with just using the palm of my hand and then rolling them up. So there we are. So there is like an example of 3 balls, super simple. And then what you can do then is add in some of the cocoa into a container. Take the ball, just roll it around like that. And then you have 1 cocoa covered Bliss ball, or you can use the Greens Plus and do the same thing. Just roll it around in it. And you got a Greens Plus one. And if that's not what you want some tutti frutti, put some tutti frutti in there, or dried coconut, or anything you like. And again, you just mix it like that, and you got one with tutti frutti. So there we go, 3 different flavors. I will continue moving all this along, but there you go. Superhero cookies, Bliss Balls, lunch for a couple of days with Nourish bowls, some soup, minestrone, the roasted chickpeas, and there we are. I'm just gonna wash my hands and answer the questions that I can see there. All right, what do we got? Yes, just sunflower seeds. I know, it's crazy. You think you gotta add stuff to it. You can do it with almonds if you want nuts. Literally, it just takes time for it to go around. Roasted pumpkin seeds, whatever you like. You could do a whole bunch of seeds into one. But literally, it's just letting your food processor do the work, and you just keep an eye on it and keep mixing it back up together. And 3 cups got me the container there. And yeah, and then at least you know it's fresh. You made it, there's nothing in it, there's no sugar, no nothing. If you have nut allergies, you can do the seeds. It's all pretty awesome. So there we are. So any other questions? Anything else I can help with meal prep ideas or anything like that? And there we are. We're at 10:30, so 45 minutes or so I've been making the stuff, and as you can see, it'll probably be another 10 minutes or so for me to finish with the Bliss Balls here and get them packed up. And then all it will take is probably about 15 minutes for me to clean up. So a little over an hour, and I've made a couple of snacks or breakfast options. I've made lunch for the next 3 days, and dinner for tonight. Now, normally I would be making more, so it could be I would get some protein, chicken or something, and portion it out, and maybe marinate it or even cook it up if I wanted that. I do eat eggs, so I would boil some maybe and things like that if I wanted that for my lunch as well. So there's a few more options, but basically for me, meal prep and planning isn't so much about having the whole entire meal made and all I gotta do is warm it up. That I don't like. I do love the idea of variety, but what I want is simplicity when it comes to variety. So what I want is to know that if I come home and decide I want to have curry or a stir fry or something like that, the base is ready to go because the protein has been portioned out and prepped, or at least portioned out, if not marinated or anything like that. And the vegetables are cut up and ready to go, whether they're frozen or in the fridge, but all I have to do is literally grab the veggies and the protein out, throw it into the wok, make a curry, make a stir fry, and away I go. Or even if I wanted to make a chicken pot pie, I can do that pretty simple with the same base of vegetables and chicken. I just need the puff pastry part, or not at all, you know, things like that, or chicken stew, or tacos. Again, all of that is available as long as the base of your meal prep is ready for you, right? If you have your vegetables, when you come home with your groceries, if you wash them and dry them and then put them away, they'll last longer also, but then they're already ready for you. So when you know that you got to come home and make your meal, all you got to do is grab them out of the fridge and chop them into the size that you need. When you come home with your groceries for protein, if you eat meat, for example, if you buy one of the big family packs, actually I even recommend buying the family packs even if you live alone, it's just portion it all out and then freeze it in the portions, and then you know that that you just need to pull it out on the morning of before you head off, and then you can have whatever it is you want, but not having to worry about having chicken for 5 days in a row or something. You just need to worry about having the chicken for that one day, and then the next day you could have something completely different. It can be your meatless Monday, so you're having chickpeas and lentils and brown rice and things like that to get all your protein. Woo! All right, there we go. While talking, all of the Bliss Balls are rolled up and I just need to put the flavors in. Okay, any other questions or anything people might have? Not to worry, I will share recipes in the page here, so you will get that. Oh, I'm gonna do it. Rolling. And yeah, so there we are. So I will drop off, and if something comes up, you're always welcome to message me and ask me questions about meal prepping or planning or wanting a recipe or anything like that. I just want to help you help yourself. It's your food, your way. Enjoy it. Have fun in the kitchen. Don't worry about the mess, and maybe have someone help you do it. So there you go. Have a beautiful Sunday, and I will be posting recipes and that in the group, in the event here, but also in my group as well. So have a beautiful day and take care, everyone. Thanks for joining.